Hi, and welcome to the webinar of Analyze MyWorkpiece Capture4Analysis. My name is Oliver and I'm the product manager of Analyze MyWorkpiece Capture4Analysis. In this webinar, I will be guiding you through all the steps on how to commission Capture4Analysis, so install it on your edge device and commission it, and then perform the first recording and streaming the data out via the Mqtt feature. So let's get started. First of all, you, as a precondition, should have commissioned your SINUMERIK edge device. It should be onboarded on your tenant. And once this was done, let's go to the app management. You can see it's onboarded and it has a couple of apps installed. Just for you to know, we now go through the process of installing Capture4Analysis. So everything starts with creating a new application. And look for AMW for analysis, which stands for Analyze MyWorkpiece Capture4Analysis. And let's take the most recent released version, which is 2.4.16. We accept the terms and conditions, click the save button, and then in the background the application is being downloaded and installed. The progress can always be watched in the Jobs tab. So we see that the downloading is now being performed, and let's go back to the app management and wait until the download and installation has finished. So in the meantime, Capture4Analysis was downloaded, and now let's install an instance of this application, and we are actually now good to go to start the application. But before doing that, I recommend to check the so-called app instance config or configuration. Here you specify the recording signals. This was shown also in another webinar where the commissioning of Analyze MyWorkpiece Capture was shown, and with Capture4Analysis it's exactly the same. So here we have a standard set of all the supported signals of SINUMERIK Edge for a 5-axis machine. Since here my setup is a 3-axis machine, I take a configuration that I stored in a text file and I simply copy paste it here. So I select the whole config here with Ctrl A on my keyboard, and I paste my own configuration here, and now you can see it only contains 4 signals. It goes from 1 to the index 4 for each signal, 1 to 4, and also here the subscribed signals here go from ENC+1 to ENC+4, DES+1, DES+4, and so on. If you need a closer explanation about this, what's going on here, then I recommend the other webinar about Analyze MyWorkpiece Capture. For now, let's just save it. This now gets downloaded on my SINUMERIK Edge device, and we are also good to go to start the app instance. By the way, another reminder, here in this additional documents section you have access to the terms and conditions of each app and also to additional documents, always containing the operating manual. Okay, so the edge management now tells me that Capture4Analysis is running, and now let's go to the Capture4Analysis UI and get everything started for a recording and to stream it out to using Mqtt to an Mqtt endpoint. Now let's go back and connect to our edge device and start up the Capture4Analysis web UI. So first of all, we go to the DIAC page of our edge device. In my case, it's the IP address of the edge, then port 5443/DIAC. Then we go to the app management, to Edge apps, and then we see AMW for analysis, and we click on Open UI. It brings us to the web UI of Capture4Analysis, and we see an already prepared job. So in this training, I will now not go too much into the details of Capture4Analysis, as they are the same like Capture. Just for the sake of the overview, there is one Capture job. It has been already created in a preceding training regarding Capture and Analyze MyWorkpiece monitor. It records all the available wave frequency signals and listens to the following triggers: start and stop, which are part of the NC code. So if we have a closer look on the NC code, which I'm about to execute, we see that there are two lines one is called G4F0 start and one is called G4F0 stop. And we will be using those two lines to start and stop triggering our Capture job. So that's why we have here start at the top and stop at the bottom. And now we will be talking about what needs to be done in order to use the Mqtt streaming feature of Capture4Analysis. First of all, you have to set up an Mqtt endpoint. So you have to tell Capture4Analysis where the data should be streamed to. You have to specify a server. In my case, it's a Raspberry Pi running in my local network, and it has the following IP address, and make sure that you start the IP with TCP :// So that's the IP address of the Raspberry Pi, and it listens to the port 1883, that's the standard port. And now here we define a global topic name. This one will be used in case you haven't set a specific topic name. The specific topic name can be set in the recording job. So let's say this is my edge device with the 34 at the IP address at the end. I say edge 34 global Capture4Analysis. And then I need to specify the credentials for the Mqtt server in case it uses login credentials. So in my case, they look as follows. And then we are done. And one important topic here is the maximum chunk size for the data streaming. So in case you have a constant recording and you want the data to be received as quickly as possible from your Mqtt endpoint, you need to lower this value to 1 megabyte. Then after each megabyte, the data is sent out. The maximum limit here is 10 megabytes. So if you want to have a little bit of a bigger file size, then leave the slider to 10. For now we put it to 1 megabyte and click the save button. And now let's go back to the job manager, and here in the circle tutorial capture, we now have to enable the data streaming for this job. And if this slider is now set to the right and green, that means that the data now gets streamed while recording using Mqtt. And if you want, you can now specify a specific topic name. So let's do that. Let's call it Capture4Analysis tutorial Mqtt topic. If I had left this field empty, then the global streaming topic from the settings window would have been used. And now let's hit the save button, and we do now activate the job. And what I will do in a few seconds is I will execute this NC program which you have just seen. And what I will also do in parallel, I have on my Raspberry Pi open up a PuTTY window, and I will now start the Mqtt sub program which now subscribes this Mqtt server to a topic, and the topic is highlighted here. It's called Capture4Analysis Tutorial MQTT topic, so it's there. And I hit now enter, so the Raspberry Pi is now constantly checking whether there is new data coming into the topic. And now let's just execute the NC program and see what happens after the start and stop triggers have been fired. Right, you could see in the web UI that the recording was started and stopped. And that means that data was streamed out. Now let's just close the Mqtt subprogram and check whether something is in this folder. We expect a download zip file because I piped out the content of Mqtt sub into download.zip. And we see a download.zip file. And let's just download this to my system. Therefore, I'm using WinSCP to connect to the Raspberry Pi, and there is this download.zip file also. So let's just double click it. We download it. And open it up, and here we now have the JSON file of the recording that was just executed. So let's just double click it, and it's a typical capture file, so the serialized data. If we want to have a better look at it, let's mark it and hit the format JSON button, and now we have here our capture file with the data available on my PC using the Mqtt Streaming feature. With using Capture4Analysis, there is a different way of getting the data. So we also have a REST API, which can be called internally using this data management tab. And let's just find the recording from today. This is like here. And I can also download the files using this button. So here we now see it's downloaded. Let's just click it, and we can open it up here also, and there we are, ending up with the same file. There is also a third option, using Postman as an example to execute REST API calls, or you can also write your own scripts and perform REST API calls there. So in the end, it's a decision whether you want to poll the data. If you want to poll it, then you use the REST API of Capture4Analysis, which is all documented. So you find the documentation here in Help User Guide. If you want to understand better what's the JSON structure, then you click on the output format, then you see a description of that. And if you don't want to poll the data and you want to actively push it, then you need to use, of course, the Mqtt Streaming feature, which gets set up here in the settings menu and then specified here in the settings window where you enable or disable it for all of your jobs. Okay, so this concludes the webinar on how to stream out data of Capture4Analysis using Mqtt, including also the commissioning of Capture4Analysis. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching.